What is this Russian submarine doing off the coast of Sweden? Watch Nightline tonight.
I'm Doug Parrott. The Nebraska special session gets underway in Lincoln.
I'm Jerry Fannin. This is our destination tonight in part 4 of our series, Aboard the Zephyr.
We'll also have the latest on that Soviet sub that ran aground off the coast of Sweden. And Dave Foote takes us on a tour through a haunted house. Join us next on Newswatch 7 Update.
I don't believe you. You're both lying. You're lying. It didn't die. You took it. You're lying. You're witches.
This Halloween night at 10:30, a young pregnant woman slowly realizes that her husband is involved with a coven of witches, and they have plans for her unborn baby.
What have you done to it? What have you done to its eyes?
Rosemary's Baby, Saturday night on Cinema 7.
No dream. This is really happening.
It just might scare the devil out of you.
Have you ever wondered who rides the trains these days? 7 TV's Jerry Fannin was curious, so he boarded a Zephyr and rode the rails from Omaha to San Francisco. Some of the passengers he talked to seemed to think the train was the only way to go. But will Amtrak survive all the budget cuts? All aboard the Zephyr tonight at 10. It may be the ride you've been waiting for.
They're hot.
You have stimulated me.
With special host Steve Martin.
Hey, we're having some fun now, eh, kids?
With the funniest bunch of comedians ever to take over television. And get ready to strut your stuff with the Kinks. Catch all the fun on Saturday night.
This is 7 TV. This is Newswatch 7 Update with Ted Mullins and Carol Schrader, meteorologist Rob Dixon, and sports with Wayne Dzubak.
Good evening, I'm Ted Mullins. Carol Schrader is off tonight. Nebraska state senators are back at work in Lincoln trying to cut the state budget and make up a $25 million revenue shortfall. Capitol Bureau Chief Doug Parrott reports on the opening of today's special session.
Shortly after 10 this morning, lawmakers were back on the job and will take the next couple of weeks trying to cut money from numerous state agencies. The session started on a controversial note after reports circulated that members of the governor's staff knew as early as June that money would be short of projections, yet didn't say anything about it until recently. Governor Charles Stone rejected that claim as he spoke to senators and said it wasn't until September that revenue officials realized income wouldn't meet expenditures. Stone told lawmakers he personally doesn't like special sessions, but had no choice because he refuses to raise taxes to make up the revenue shortfall.
But here we are meeting at my call, and I assure you it was done after a most serious review and for most compelling cause. I am respectfully asking you for this $25 million cut in spending. That cut is doable without disrupting any necessary services for Nebraskans. 9
bills were introduced on this first day, most dealing with plans to cut the budget. However, one expected bill did not show up, the Christian school issue. Reverend Everett Sullivan told newsmen outside the Capitol his group has reached a compromise with education leaders, allowing them to operate without teacher certification, as long as they comply with attendance, safety, and performance requirements. That issue will now probably come up at the regular session in January. Doug Parrott, Newswatch 7 Update, Lincoln.
Meanwhile, Omaha Mayor Mike Boyle says he's not all that disturbed by possible state funding cuts for this special session of the Unicameral.
Across-the-board cut. The type of funding that we get from the state is based on the gasoline tax, that sort of thing, revenues. And so if those were adjusted, which I don't believe they will be, then we would be directly affected. The initial response that I'd make is that we don't see that any funds coming from the state to the city would be affected because they are not strictly budget items. They are in state law, like the gasoline tax and that sort of thing. So we really don't see any effect at all.
And even as Nebraska senators began their first day of haggling over state finances, the State Court of Industrial Relations handed them a potential $500,000 bombshell. The CIR today awarded Douglas County welfare employees retroactive pay raises to 1979. The raises amount to an average of 7 to 17% for about 430 employees, and possibly as many as 200 former employees. The total pay raise could amount to as much as $500,000 to be paid by the state. But Union President Tom Bennett says he's not sure how much employees will get.
They compare, because what the CIR has done is use somewhat of a, if I can phrase it, a shotgun approach. You may have one worker getting an additional $70, $80. You may have another worker who may average only $40.
Bennett says he's sympathetic to the state's budget problems, but in his words, it's a bill past due, and the state is morally obligated to pay it. Bennett says he'll consider a direct appeal to the Unicameral to get the back pay. Phone bills will be going up for Omaha residents. The Public Service Commission has approved a 15-cent monthly increase for Northwestern Bell residential customers, but things could be worse. The PSC rejected a proposed 30-cent monthly increase and refused permission to raise payphone rates from 10 to 25 cents. Just ahead, part 4 of Jerry Fannin's series on riding Amtrak Zephyr.
When you see a field of corn standing this tall, this straight, this strong, the secret lies down deep in the roots, with a rootworm insecticide that won't quit. Amaze. Amaze stays through heavy spring rains, even on early planted corn. It stays to shut out rootworm through the critical late hatch. Amaze. It doesn't stop working until the rootworms do.
World Radio's gigantic once-a-year warehouse clearance sale is going on now. The action is fast and furious as people are rushing in to save from 20 to 60% and more on name brand stereo, car stereo, and video equipment. Discontinued models, floor samples, closeouts, one-of-a-kinds, everything goes. But hurry. At these prices, it's strictly first come, first served. So run in today before we run out. Now through Sunday at World Radio's warehouse, 34th and West Broadway, Council Bluffs.
Isn't everyone excited about McDonald's You Deserve a Break Today game?
Yes! Yes!
Don't you love those big prizes?
Yes! Yes!
All that cash?
Yes! Yes! Yes!
All those trips? Shouldn't everyone play?
At Amoco, Earth scientists see our planet in sophisticated ways. Our geochemists use an evolving science to determine thermal maturity of organic matter in the Earth's crust. Amoco uses this science and others to explore areas like the overthrust belt in Wyoming and Utah, where we made some of America's biggest natural gas discoveries. We're working to provide energy to keep America growing in the year 2000 and beyond.
A 14-year-old Omaha boy was shot in the leg tonight near 29th and S Streets. The youngster, John Jones of 2927T, was walking with 2 other boys when the incident occurred. The shot came from a building across the street. Police are investigating. There's no word on the identity of the sniper. Jones is in good condition at St. Joseph Hospital. The stalemate continues tonight between the government of Sweden and the Soviet Union. The object of that dispute, Soviet submarine number 137, which ran aground near Sweden's Baltic Naval Base 4 days ago. The Swedes won't let salvage operations begin until the Soviets tell them what they were doing 20 miles inside Sweden's territorial waters. The Russian captain insists he got lost, but the Swedes aren't buying that.
Gyros or the radars or whatever you use, they would have gone wrong long before they entered Swedish territory. So the explanation can't be very true.
Soviet diplomats arrived at the sub site to be present during the questioning. For more on the submarine standoff, watch ABC's Nightline at 10:30 here on 7 TV. Tonight is the final part of our series aboard the Zephyr. We reach our destination. Reporter Jerry Fannin and photographer Julie Baldwin have been aboard Amtrak's New San Francisco Zephyr since Omaha, and tonight they arrive on the West Coast.
There is a story about the little train who thought he could climb the hill, and through determination, he did. Amtrak, a big train, faces a hill of its own right now, one in Washington. But there are people who also have determination, and they are determined to see this piece of America survive the tough economic times.
Oh, I think they're trying. They've got some bugs to work out yet. I think they're improving their service. They're improving their quality of service also. To help, I think the people are really trying and making an effort to make it work.
We're cautiously optimistic that we'll come through with funding at around $735 million, which will enable us to continue to operate a national system and will enable us to continue to operate the Zephyr.
With respect to maintaining the integral network, a part of which is our superliner Amtrak and the Zephyr, that's going to continue, at least for the foreseeable future.
The Zephyr is nearing the end of its two-day run. It is the day after since the train left Chicago. We have been aboard since Omaha. We have traveled the plains and the desert, and now we come to the mountains of Northern California. From here, it's a downhill glide to the end of the line. Over the past day and a half, we have gone across 6 of these United States. We have traveled 2,390 rail miles, and we have arrived 18 minutes early. As for the ride, we heard some compliments and we heard some complaints. But if you've never ridden Amtrak, or if it's been a while since you've ridden any passenger train, it might be worth trying it at least once. After all, the way things are going, you might not get another chance. With photographer Julie Baldwin in Oakland, California, Jerry Fannin, Newswatch 7.
Last night we told you how hard it can be to make reservations with Amtrak through their toll-free number. That's about to change, though. Beginning tomorrow, the national Amtrak system will be operating on a new computer system, which, according to Omaha station manager Joe Geisler, should make things easier. Besides the toll-free number and the local station, you can also make train reservations through 2 Omaha travel agencies, Royal Travel and Television Travel. If you'd like to see more on the trip aboard the Zephyr, you can watch a half-hour special on Aboard the Zephyr this Sunday at 5 p.m. here on 7 TV. And up next, a Halloween made possible by some very special friends.
It took us 7 years and $9 million. It was worth it. Introducing the new Carrier Super Furnace, the most significant advance in gas furnace technology in 54 years. Easier to install, exclusive 20-year heat exchanger limited warranty. Gets more heat out of less gas. The Carrier Super Furnace, it cost us $9 million. It could save you thousands.
Call Hot and Todd Heating and Air Conditioning today at 333-5000.
Around here, farming's a family affair. We share the work, the worries, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Farm Mutual Insurance takes a lot of the worry out of farming. It protects us from losses due to fire, hail, windstorm, liability.
It's important to us that Farm Mutual has a plan to cover any disaster.
Oh.
Hi, Mom.
Well, almost any disaster.
Farm Mutual.
Be an agent of Southwest Iowa Mutual, Clarinda, Iowa.
Time for the Gator to see his travel agent. Gotta make sure I get my United Sunbird to Florida for only $169.
Can I help you?
I'd like a Sunbird to Florida. Everything on it, you know, free wine, champagne, choice of 3 entrees. And now United gets me my favorite seat in advance, right? Give me 10D on the aisle, extra tail room. A sensational way to fly.
Fly the friendly skies.
The Gator knows it pays to plan ahead these days.
2 prescriptions for the same antibiotic from a famous name pharmaceutical company. Exactly alike in every way, except that one came from a careful neighborhood registered pharmacist. The other came from a careful Kmart registered pharmacist. The pharmaceuticals are the same. The care is the same. The quality is the same. But at a Kmart family pharmacy, the Kmart price gives you an extra reason to smile. Kmart, your family pharmacy.
Well, as you probably know, this is the eve of All Hallows Eve, and as we can see, Rob is dressed for the occasion.
That's right. No, I go around and say, yes, I'm all set. I'm going to be a Secret Service agent tomorrow night.
What were you last year?
Tax auditor. No one gave me candy. Well, that's the way it goes. Right now, I'm a meteorologist, and we do have the outlook for November. This is the 30-day outlook prepared by the Long Range Prediction Group in Washington, D.C. Temperature-wise, well, it shows the eastern section of Nebraska will be below normal in temperatures as the far northern plain states, and then across the southern Rockies in the southeastern United States, it's expected to be warmer than normal. And then on precipitation, what we're expecting to see is wetter than normal conditions through the northern plains, the Ohio Valley, the Mississippi Valley, all the way down to the southern plain states and to the northeast. Now, what is normal? We'll show you exactly. Here are the normals. Precipitation-wise, we do have a radically changing month coming up, because on the 1st, our average high is 57 and the average low is 35. But on the 30th of the month, our average high is 40 degrees and the average low is 22. Then precipitation, we get about 1.12 inches of rainfall, and out of that, 2.8 inches of snow is generally happening. Oh, speaking about precipitation, yes, earlier this evening on the Weather Watch 7 radar, we did indicate some precipitation. So we'll bring you back to about 7:21 through the evening hours, and you'll see a very fine band of precipitation moving right on through. It was gradually moving to the east, and as it did, we had a cold front come through the area, and now it's moving on into the southeastern portion of Iowa. We'll look at the live radar, and there it is, a little bit right from Atlantic, Iowa to the extreme southwestern corner of the state. There are also some very light showers around the Lincoln area. And currently in Omaha, we have cloudy skies. The temperature is at 57 degrees. Lincoln has a very light rain shower, same temperature though. The dew point's at 52 with the relative humidity of 83%. Winds are out of the north at 7 miles per hour. And the barometer is rising at 30.09 inches. We have had a transition in our weather because of a frontal system. Well, earlier at 5 o'clock, the front was still to the west of Lincoln, but over the last 5 hours, it has moved past the Lincoln and Omaha area, continuing to move in towards the Great Lakes region. Now, what it represents is we no longer have those nice, warm southerly winds that did give us the relatively mild temperatures today. Now we're going to be getting into the blustery, cool winds behind this frontal system. So that spells out probably a cool weekend ahead, but there's warm news for early next week. High temperatures for today, though, were just mild for around our region, but they were warm from the Ohio Valley. In fact, look, 70s all the way up into the eastern portion of Iowa and as well Illinois. But we were in the 60s, while to the west it was a little cooler with highs only in the 50s in western Nebraska and the 40s in the Rockies. Well, what we're expecting to see is a cool down. Here are the forecast details for tonight. Cloudy, windy, and cooler. There will be a chance of showers still about. Also some sprinkles around. The low temperature at 43 degrees. Winds northwest 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow, cloudy with a chance of showers in the morning. Partial clearing for the afternoon. And a high of 56 degrees. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, breezy and cool, a low of 37 degrees. Then for Sunday, mostly sunny and mild, a high of 58. Now, the chances of measurable rain, 30% for tonight and tomorrow morning. And overall, I'd say tomorrow night at this time, Don Novak will be here talking about the second Indian summer coming up.
Is that right?
For early next week.
Oh, my goodness. Now, tell us about the possibility of using a snowblower.
Okay, this is your last chance. If you don't have it now, here's the last opportunity to get a 5-horsepower, 23-inch snapper snow thrower. And what you've got to do almost right now, look at this address, 7TV Snow Thrower Contest, Box 777, Omaha, Nebraska. On the back of an envelope or a postcard, put your guess for the first official inch of snow in Omaha on or after November 1st. And the reason you got to do it right now and send it out in the mail tomorrow morning is because tomorrow midnight, if it's not postmarked, it's not submitted.
It's all over, huh?
That's right.
Okay, thank you, sir. This Halloween could have been a sad one for Deputy Sheriff Larry Hall and his 8-year-old son, Andy. Their Fort Calhoun home burned to the ground last Monday night. But friends in the Douglas County Sheriff's Office came to the rescue. They collected more than $150 for clothes for the family, including a new costume for Andy. Someone else donated a pumpkin, and tonight Andy was busy carving a jack-o'-lantern. Deputy Hall says in his line of work, you don't often see the good side of people.
It kind of makes it all worthwhile when you get a lot of people, you know, just, especially the guys at work and know, you know, that you don't have anything, and they're calling on the phone and ready to give you the shirts off their backs. And
right now, the Halls are staying with friends and hope to replace their house with a mobile home. The Huskers and Jayhawks are ready to play tomorrow. Wayne will have that and more sports coming up next.
The curtain's going up on the new fall TV season, and nothing gets you into it like TV Guide. Pick up the new issue today.
For good root ratings, there's no effective difference between diphenate and other leading rootworm controls. But you need more to protect your yield. For protection against more major insects, including cutworms, you need diphenate. For more years of no resistance, you need diphenate. Even for more convenience, you need, that's right, diphenate. For more than just good root ratings, from now on, all you need is diphenate.
For 1982, your John Deere dealer still has the lightest line of snowmobiles. And now he'll take $1 off for every pound a John Deere sled weighs. So you could save from $285 to $412. And then after your down payment, he won't ask for a monthly payment till February, with no finance charge to pay till April. The John Deere $1 per pound off sale makes it easier than ever to pick up a great new sled.
The John Deere $1 per pound off sale at your participating John Deere dealer till November 30th.
10 minutes to L.A., under $3. 10 minutes to New York, under $3. 10 minutes to Phoenix, under $3. It's a short hop wherever you want to go if you dial direct after 5 p.m. 10 minutes, almost anywhere in the country, about $3.
We're just sitting here talking sports.
Is it cluster word, cluster west?
So a whole lot.
Let's go with the whole bunch, okay? For the third night in a row, a whole bunch of high school football games were played. Again, playoff berths were on the line, especially for fourth-rated Lincoln East, who played Lincoln High. And here's Ross Jernstrom with that story.
Lincoln East assured themselves of a playoff berth early against Lincoln High. Tim Lee almost breaks it all the way, but he's finally stopped at the 32 of the Lynx. 5 plays later at the 8-yard line, quarterback Jim Peenpole keeps it himself for the touchdown. The Spartans take a quick 7-0 lead. Still in the first quarter, Lee broke away for another big run. This one went all the way down to the 9-yard line. Then on 4th and goal at the 5, Peenpole rolled out to his right and spots Kevin Vermeer in the end zone to make it 14-0. But Lincoln High wouldn't give up. They struck right back on this 31-yard touchdown run by Marty Merez right up the middle. That made it 14-6. However, the Spartans offense continued to roll in the second quarter. Vermeer makes a great catch down at the 2-yard line. He scored on the next play to make it 21-6. Lincoln High scored right before the half to make it 21-13, then got a field goal to close within 5 points. But that's as close as they got. Lincoln East scored 2 more touchdowns to win the game 34-16. The Spartans finished their regular season at 8-1. Their only loss was 21-0 against top-rated Westside. Ross Jernstrom, Newswatch 7 Sports Update.
Well, I tell you, as you saw, there was some head knocking at Seacrest Field in Lincoln. Here in Omaha, Ralston beat Bellevue East 27-0. South took Bellevue West 13-6. And OT, Plattsmouth over Nebraska City by a touchdown. And Abe Lincoln beat Ryan tonight 19-0. Well, it's homecoming in Lincoln tomorrow as the Huskers gun for Big 8 win number 4. Tom Osborne is concerned that Kansas could be somewhat pesky. But I guarantee you, the man with a bigger problem is Jayhawk head coach Don Fambro.
When you play a team like Nebraska, you can't give them anything. Last year, we gave them a lot of cheap touchdowns, a lot of cheap points. You can't do that. We've got to play almost a perfect football game and hope that we can play good, strong defense, a good, sound kicking game, and take advantage of any opportunities that we might get.
Both Nebraska and Kansas are 5-2. Any other similarities between the two teams?
Well, that might be as far as it goes. I'm real impressed with their football team, especially defense. They haven't given up a touchdown in the last 4 football games, and that's just phenomenal. I think this is one of their better teams.
Okay, give or take a couple of points, Nebraska is favored by 28. Given the fact Nebraska always seems to play well against Kansas, I say that's a pretty accurate diagnosis, so I'll take the Huskers 35-7, thus upping their season mark to 6-2 overall. 4-0 in the Big 8 Conference. Elsewhere, Iowa State, who barely escaped Colorado, will have a better day against Kansas State, winning it pretty big. Missouri will nip Oklahoma State 21-14, while the Sooners will take out their frustration on Colorado 42-7. The UNO Mavericks make the long trip to North Dakota State. Now, the Bison are 6-0 in the North Central Conference. UNO 3-3. The Mavs are going to keep it close for a while, but I'll have to be honest, I'm going to have to pick North Dakota State to win 24-10. In Lincoln this afternoon, the Husker JV squad and the Nebraska redshirt scrimmage for about an hour. Craig Sundberg hit Scott Schaefer on this play to set up a 3-yard touchdown run by Greg Russell a couple of plays later. The redshirts, aptly attired, won the scrimmage 14-0. It was the second time this year the JVs and redshirts met, with the redshirts winning both encounters. You know, runners and golfers don't mix, or at least that's how the city sees it. Joggers are now barred from using Omaha public golf courses as training grounds. Now, not only is it aggravating to have someone run in front of your fairway wood, but it's dangerous as well. I guess you could say the score right now stands golfers 1 and joggers nothing. The pro basketball season is here, and it's going to be here until next May, so get used to it. Boston Celtics over the Bullets tonight by 24. Knicks beat the Nets. It was the 76ers over the Cleveland Cavaliers, 128-104. Indiana nipped the Chicago Bulls by 2. Detroit beat Milwaukee, 118-113, and San Antonio took the Kings, 113-102. So Kings are off to a flying stop this year.
Flying stop?
Flying stop.
Doesn't hardly seem right that basketball's starting already, does it?
No, not at all.
Okay, thank you, sir. Coming up next, Dave Foote takes us through a haunted house.
My mother taught me a lot, but the first two things I remember were to cook with gas and to do it with caloric. But today, she's got some surprises coming, because my brand new gas caloric has features galore, from the self-cleaning oven to this eye-level microwave.
Mommy, Grandma's here. Now you're really cooking with gas.
And caloric.
Your new caloric gas range is available now at People's Natural Gas Company in Bellevue.
In the bitter cold of Minnesota, Gary Langula runs a hardware store. Heating costs were astronomical, so he began using Kerosene portable heaters. These safety-tested kerosene heaters gave him clean, odorless comfort. And suddenly, the savings were astronomical. In February alone, Langula Hardware saved $430 on fuel. Kerosene, because you don't have money to burn.
Shelter knows how it goes, how things happen, yes indeed.
Congratulations, Dad. See you Thursday.
You see, the game was tied, and I was rounding third base.
Dr. Rogers. Don't worry, I'll bring you the forms. Give this to your doctor.
Shelter knows just what you need for your life, health, home, and car. A Shelter Insurance Pro who'll be there when you need him to put things right.
Shelter Insurance, all the shield you'll ever need.
With tongue firmly planted in cheek, our Dave Foote felt this is the perfect time of the year to prove that madmen, monsters, ghosts, and goblins don't really exist. Along with Chief Photographer Scott Buer, Dave files this investigative report.
A newsman has to be skeptical. He must learn to separate fact and fantasy, know the difference between truth and fiction. The idea of ghosts and goblins, witches and warlocks, well, that's pure nonsense, total, pure fantasy. So when the March of Dimes invited this reporter to check out the Hex House, well, this reporter felt it was his responsibility to prove that nonsense is purely nonsense. Get out of my way! The mad magician. That's ridiculous. Who is this crazy old man here? I don't even know.
At last, I have an audience.
Audience of one, friends.
May I see your hand,
well,
please?
if you...
It's just the right size and the kind of hand I need. I'll tell you what I want to do with it. I'll put it in the little hole in my machine. You see, when I want to use your hand, I'll put it in my little machine. And when you stick your hand through like this and wave at that ugly cameraman, I will take my little blade and go... Usually when a magician does a good job, the audience gives him a hand.
Of course, a good investigative reporter has to do a good job of investigating. So with flashlight in hand, I'm ready to go to the depths of the Hex House. Not concerned at all by the hands that are reaching out in front of me at this point. Not concerned at all. No, not concerned. Not concerned. No. Not concerned by these gentlemen at all. Not concerned. Not concerned.
There is absolutely nothing that I'm going to say except coming up next on ABC's Nightline, more on the Russian sub beached on the coast of Sweden. And join Jerry Fannin tomorrow night at 10:30 for the weekend edition of Newswatch 7 Update. Have a pleasant Halloween weekend. Good night.
3 days after a Soviet sub ran aground in Swedish territorial waters, Soviet ships are waiting off the Swedish coast, and Swedish warships have surrounded the sub. We'll focus on that story tonight as we talk live with Sweden's foreign minister. We'll look at how the U.S. Navy keeps track of Soviet submarines operating off our own coast, and we'll talk to an admiral involved in overseeing that operation.
This is ABC News Nightline.